Good evening. My name is Dr. Susan Feneck. I'm the CEO and founder of Juvenile Justice Impact. And tonight we have with us Agnes Botello. And she is actually running for the Department 16 Justice Court.
Yes.
And we met some months ago, and we just had such an interesting conversation with a very similar background in criminal justice and law enforcement and juvenile justice and just all of that. Anyway, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's just a pleasure. It truly is. And she just has the best energy. I just want to say that.
We hit it off.
We really did. And so tell us, how did you get here? Where did it all start?
Okay.
I always love to hear a person's story.
Okay. I was born in the Philippines. It's a city in Cebu called Toledo. I lived there until I was 8 years old. I was adopted by an American, Portuguese descent. We immigrated to Hawaii. So I grew up on the island of Kauai, Hawaii.
Nice.
I lived there until I was about 18, exactly 18 years old, and I moved to Las Vegas. Actually, I went to Waco, Texas for a semester of school, and that didn't work out. It was Baylor University. I was a Baylor Bear. My family moved to Las Vegas, told me how wonderful it was. You know, housing was cheap compared to Hawaii, absolutely. And
really?
This is 1998 now, so.
Oh, wow.
You could actually buy a house here. And so they moved, I moved here, worked all kinds of casino jobs while I put myself through college, and then subsequently law school. And after law school, I got my dream job at the Clark County District Attorney's Office.
Nice.
I knew in high school that I wanted to be an attorney. It was kind of a calling. I loved to argue, but also I loved advocating for people who I felt like didn't have a voice, or who could potentially get lost in the system. Because, you know, my mom, we're all immigrants, and I felt like she always needed me to voice for her growing up. So I think I liked that, and I liked being that for other people. So I got my dream job. Currently, I'm a Chief Deputy District Attorney.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Spent a majority of my career, I've been there for 15 years now, working just very violent, repeat offenders. That's who I've focused my prosecutions on. So I'm a trial attorney, go to trial a lot, but I'm very selective in the cases that I go to trial on. Has to be someone really worth prosecuting to the fullest extent. Most of our cases are negotiated, as it should. But as I was telling you, you know, in law school, I did things like the Juvenile Justice Clinic. I worked for a defense attorney because I like to know different perspectives.
Sure, because a lot of those youth, they graduate, so to speak, into that adult system.
Yes.
So it is important to know that, you know, it's important to know those age groups, because so many times they'll get charged as adults, even though they're a teenager. So it is very important to understand the juvenile justice system, because it just becomes such a big part of the adult system.
Absolutely. It's almost a pipeline.
It is.
You know, whether we want to admit it or not, it is. And it was interesting, definitely, because now as a DA, when someone is certified as an adult, I understand what types of adjudications and what types of proceedings occurred in juvenile court.
Sure.
You know, and so I did hearings in front of Judge Voy, who I know you like and love and respect. But I advocated on behalf of these, you know, juveniles who were potentially going to be adjudicated delinquent. And so this topic is difficult to talk about because it brings up so many societal issues.
Yeah. And how do you deal with, I know I look back at all of those years in forensics, and I would think on my way home, I can't believe what I just saw. I cannot believe what I just heard. I can't believe what just happened.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
and you know, I just threw myself into fitness and dance class, and you know, did all of those positive, healthy things to just get it out of my system, so to speak. What is it that you do? Because I'm telling.
Oh,
okay. Well, there you go.
No one will make you focus and change perspectives, I think, more quickly than children.
Yeah.
You know, I have a new deputy in our office, and she came in today. She's 7 months pregnant, and she was upset about something that happened at work. You know,
you said just wait for those 2 more months to come along.
Yes.
None of this is going to matter.
That's exactly what I told her. I said, I can't wait for you. Just get to maternity leave.
Right.
Have the baby,
right,
and then we'll talk again.
And then when you're never even gonna talk about this level.
You're not. It's just gonna slide right off because you know you're just gonna get home. You have to let that negativity wash off because your baby's not gonna understand why there's so much tension in your voice or why you're not paying attention, why you're not physically present and mentally present for it.
Right.
And so I told her. I mean, it took me 42 years to realize that. I had my baby. I had Jordan when I was 39, so I'm a late mother. But definitely it switches your perspective so quickly.
I was recently at a funeral, and everyone was just sobbing, and it was just so heart-wrenching. And there was this girl just going, and I just looked at her, and I thought, you know who I'm talking about, right? And I just thought, I'm just going to focus on her just for a minute, because she was just like in her own world and just, you know, happy to be there. And then she actually wound up, you know, singing with the remember it was actually a funeral in California, and in her lightness, her spirit just helped so many people there, and I'll never forget that. You know, it was just, and she just, perspective. So that's wonderful that you have that. Go home and see your child.
Because I know what you're saying. You know, prior to Jordan, and even sometimes now, I just recently got out of trial on what I know for my entire career is going to be the saddest case that I've ever worked. And it takes so much out of you. It takes so much out of you. I would drive home just thinking, okay, I'm either going to cry or just collapse from exhaustion.
Oh yeah, there'd be times I'd have my purse on my shirt, on my shoulders, jacket on, and I would just lean. I'd just pass out. I'm pink elephants on the way home. I mean,
that happened to me multiple times.
Yeah.
The last, a couple weeks ago, I don't remember how I got home. I was so deep in my thoughts.
It's that heavy.
And I fell asleep in my suit.
Yeah.
Because I just couldn't take anymore.
Yeah, and it's just in the transference. It's called a transference of energy. You know, when you're sitting there and you're this far away from someone who took a crowbar and killed someone.
Yes.
And of course, I'm thinking of the graphics and this and that and the mindset, and he had to go and find that crowbar, put it in his mind to do this, and it's a lot.
It's a dark place.
It really is, and
it's a dark place.
But coming from such a wholesome family with 16 aunts and uncles, there was no violence, there was nothing, no one yelled at each other. Well, the Italians yelled at everything, but so then when I got into this position, the restraints, the screaming, the pills, and I'm like, where am I? Because I was just never around it, but then I don't know, I just prepared myself for it, and I said, this is where I'm meant to be, and just like this is where you're meant to be, and I thought I was going to do something completely different, but then I realized 2 and 2 added up, and I'm like, okay, it was at that moment when someone said there's an opening, and I thought to myself, what the heck am I going to do there? I literally, I'm like, what am I going to do there? Makes no sense, didn't fit into anything, and at that interview, I said, this is going to be the rest of my life. And that was so many years ago, and it's a calling, but it's just meant to be.
It is. People think, things happen by accident. And
no.
I think, subconsciously, I think you know where you're meant to be, and I don't know, the decisions that you make along the way kind of just propel you one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's just about listening to
your mind, your heart, your soul,
intuition, yes.
And you know, having the support that you do, and the support that I had makes all the difference, because you're surrounded around like-minded people.
Yes.
You know, so they know what you're doing. They know why you're doing it.
Yes.
They know what it took for you to even get there.
Yes.
And so I get it. It's so helpful and supportive, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot. We're okay.
It takes so much. Like, as you're like, how did you get here? Like, just the images that filled my mind as you asked that question, you know, and it's mostly people that come to mind. You know, mentors, people who have really, you know, stepped up and been there for you, things like that.
I remember when I was doing the last page, all the acknowledgements in my dissertation, I literally had about 10 pages just of names, and I felt like that was just my way of saying, okay.
Yes.
And a lot of those people, I'm sure, never even knew about it, but because I wasn't there passing out the dissertation to, you know, 500 people, but it was just such a special way for myself to acknowledge, and I says the universe will let them know in some way that I was as grateful as I was. I mean, in person, of course, I already knew that, but that was just my own little way of saying, okay, I'm ready to go on to the next step, you know?
Yes.
And you think of all the people that were there for you and the people that weren't.
Yes.
And they even inspire you sometimes more than the people that...
Absolutely, they do.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I mean, you know, there's yin to the yang.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if it's all good, we would like life to be all good all the time. But I guess there's a lot to be said about things are sweeter when victories are sweeter when you failed or lost.
Yeah. Certain people are like, I'm going to delete so-and-so. And I'm like, no.
Yes.
Keep them. Let them know
It's motivation.
Let them know that you're killing it.
Yes, absolutely.
Don't delete anyone.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
Keep them around.
You keep them.
Right. So previous to recording, we were talking about the skyrocket of crime rates. What do you contribute that to? Do you contribute it to youth on social media? Do you contribute it to youth in video games that grow up to that not having that sense of reality? Or do you just attribute it to, I don't know, trends? Sometimes I feel like it's trends.
Sometimes it is. It's a cycle. That's what it feels like sometimes. That question implicates so many different parts of an answer. So I've been a DA for 15 years, and there have been times, well, at least when I started in 2008, I thought crime was bad then. And, you know, Vegas since 2008 has only grown exponentially.
It has.
And so, of course, with a growing city, other things are going to grow.
And it's a floating city.
It is.
People are coming in from all over the world.
Yes.
They're coming in from all over the country.
Yes.
They're floating around, and then they go back.
Absolutely, and they go back. Lately, though, I've seen the trend, and it is alarming. And I attribute it to two different things. There are two different trends. One is recidivism, and so we have people, of course, already in the adult system who I've seen criminal histories where you're talking 20 felonies.
Right, and recidivism means that they're coming back again and again and again.
Yes, that revolving door that everyone talks about. And so it's someone who had their first felony at, let's say, 21, and now was in their 50s, who had just robbed 4 Walgreens pharmacies. And failed to appear, and the only time that this person had stayed out of trouble was when this person was in custody. And so we're running into a lot of those, and it's scary because some of the prior convictions that I've seen are murders, because they've served the 20-year sentence that they were sentenced to 20 years ago, or 15 years ago with good time credit. And so there's that aspect of it. I've seen a lot more repeat offenders, and not just of nonviolent crimes, but of very violent crimes, and making their way through. And really why I ran is because as a prosecutor, I've also seen a decline and sort of the judges holding these individuals accountable for the crimes that not just they've committed, currently,
Sure.
but to look at this trend and how you're going to keep the community safe from this person who has gotten 20 chances before. The other trend that's very alarming.
20 chances.
Yes.
And that's another thing that's important is the chances.
Yes.
And you look at all of the shootings that are going on. You look at just everything that's going on. Oh, this person had a prior this,
Yes.
a prior that, a prior this, a
Yes.
prior that. They had all these prior.
Yes.
Yeah. When does it stop? Why does it have to be so many?
Yes.
And,
the best example of that are DUIs. We have a huge DUI problem in Las Vegas. And the problem with that is, they're misdemeanors, which, okay, I get, okay? But the statistics show by the time someone gets caught for a DUI, they've driven drunk however many times before, hundreds of times before. And I get that. They mandatory take a class, a DUI class or whatever, a victim impact, okay? Person picks up the second DUI and the third DUI, and those are still misdemeanors, and then eventually kill someone.
Yeah.
Like a pregnant mother on Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and I don't know what to do about that, because it is like DUIs are the saddest cases, and we always argue, at least in court, this person's had 3 different chances, at least 3 different
How
times.
is it they get these many chances? I mean, I'm speaking now in 2022.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it was so much different back, in the Department of Forensic Mental Health and who I was surrounded with, and being affiliated with the Sheriff's Department at the time, and laws were different then, but how does it get to? How do they get to have all those chances?
The system is
in this day and
overburdened.
age, right?
Yeah, the system's overburdened. Less than 1% of the cases go to trial, and so there's a favor. I mean, negotiations are a thing. Like, you have to move your cases in order for you to just maintain your caseload. There's also been a shift just in the last few years, I think, in at least what is the perceived view of society or even our community. Criminal justice reform is being pushed through the legislature, things like that. And I don't necessarily disagree with what they're saying. I think we're just comparing apples to oranges.
Right.
Like I said earlier, I've always focused my prosecutions on violent repeat offenders. I think the laws are what's being pushed is just too broad.
Right.
It's okay, we're going to add
It needs to be,
bail.
concentrated,
Catered.
keep it more
needs to be
concentrated.
catered, We're not going to decriminalize or at least lessen the penalty for a felon possessing a firearm.
Right.
But, are we going to favor mental health or drug treatment for certain offenses? Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's like we were talking about before we started, this podcast. We were talking about so many people that, when they wind up in these mass shootings, they had a history of mental health. They had actually written a letter saying that they were going to do what they were going to do. They had this, they had that. They had this whole list of, I can't even say red flag because it's beyond that, but signs, signals, just documented. This is a person that needs to be to be supervised in some way, shape, or form. And then we have these mass shootings, and it's like, we'll come to find out this person had this person had that. But I mean, like you said, being overburdened. I mean, there's only so many help. The mental health profession. There's only so many out there, and then
facilities are shrinking.
Yeah, the facilities, and I know that someone might be like, we just got awarded, someone just got awarded $1.5 million, whatever, for juvenile for a facility, and it's like, why are we focusing on building a detention facility with that amount of money? That's so much money. Why don't we use that money to make sure they don't get in the system? Because once they get in the system, it's just like this.
Speaking my language, and this is why you and I click. Okay. When I announced I was going to run for office, a lot of organizations make you fill out a questionnaire. and a lot of it has nothing to do with being a judge.
Right.
Because as a judge, my oath is to follow the law.
Right.
To be fair, to be just, those are the callings of a judge, similar to a prosecutor. But one of the questions in particular that just triggered with you saying that is, there was a union that asked something to the effect of, what would you as a judge do to help, offset the number of juveniles that are, being put through the system? And really, I thought long and hard about that, because as you know, I was in the juvenile justice clinic, but I've also handled, individuals who have, robbed 6 different stores.
Right.
Or committed 18 robberies, and at the age of 16,
Mm-hmm.
and with firearms. And so, I really had to think long and hard about that, and my answer was that, exactly what you said. By the time the system gets involved, you've missed your chance to address whatever it was that occurred, or that could be addressed.
Sure.
Because once a judge meets a child or a juvenile, they're already charged with a crime.
Yeah.
They're already charged with
Mm-hmm.
a crime. And what I've learned in the juvenile justice clinic is these issues start in the home. Poverty has a lot to do with it. A lack of familial support.
The skyrocketing percentage of homeless youth.
Yes.
And
Abuse in the home. There are just so many issues. And you have to, and I said this in my documented response, you have to address it long before you get to that. Because if you don't, you're gonna get this influx of juvenile delinquency, as they call it. But really, out of all of the juvenile delinquencies, the ones that actually make it to the criminal justice system, the adult criminal justice system, I would say is the worst of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Most recently, I had to advocate to send a 16-year-old boy to prison. And that was because, looking at his juvenile history, he had a history of violence, but it started small. Batteries, fights in schools, as you indicated.
And that by 3rd grade, they know that statistics will tell you, and a lot of research will tell you that typically by 3rd grade, they can tell how a child is acting,
Mm-hmm.
if they're a behavior issue,
Mm-hmm.
if they're defiant, non-compliant.
Mm-hmm.
Those schools know that by 3rd grade how many beds they're going to fill in facilities. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
And it's so sad that it's just such a for-profit system that that's what's been going on in my mind for the past 26, 27 years. And thank God I've had this incredible opportunity to be guided into what I've been doing, especially the past 4 or 5 years. And it's just overwhelming to think that it's just accepted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just accepted because it's so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this big tsunami.
It is, yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. It really is.
But, we do live in an incredible community, and I remember when I first started Juvenile Justice Impact, I knew we lived in a great community, but then I saw all the support coming in from all different angles, from all different professions, and I thought, wow, I'm really doing the right thing.
You are.
And we got to, we've had such an impact on our at-risk and underserved youth and their families, and this is just the beginning. But we live in such an incredible community.
We do.
And you have such a difficult position, but you have the support of your friends, your family.
Yes.
Where we met.
Yes.
All of those beautiful people.
Oh my gosh.
It's just, I didn't think for a minute of, nothing but, rainbows and unicorns,
Yes. I know. That was the vibe.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So having
helpful.
having our friends that are like family, and it's we have such a grounding, serious job,
Yes.
career,
Calling. I don't
calling.
know. Yes.
Who we are meant to be.
Yes.
And But with the amount of support that we have, especially in our community, I cannot say enough about. I could be here for a month just listing off the names of the people that have just been so incredibly supportive and kind and here in our city, and we really are blessed to be here.
And you know what? I mean, I'll just say this. You are talking about the people that you need to thank, but I think, we need to thank you because you've stepped up. It takes a lot to step up. I mean, there are sacrifices that are...
there's been sacrifices.
And yes. And
oh my God, if anyone knew.
There's, and if your heart's in it, the sacrifices are even greater. And I know that. That's,
Thank you.
Probably been the case for you. And so,
but at the same time, it's a
Woman of the Year.
Oh my God.
Okay. Congratulations. That should not go unsaid. Okay. That is well deserved.
Thank you.
And that is the community thanking you for stepping up and doing something about what you see being a problem.
Thank you. It's been a blessing, and even during those incredibly difficult times, during all the sacrifice to climb the hill, so to speak, it was also inspiring. I'm sure you had those times where you felt like you were just kicked down to the ground and there was never going to be a way up. But I just remember just laying there going, it can't get any lower than this. It cannot get any lower than this. So I just know, and I actually felt inspired by those times. It's crazy.
I think it's.
Do you understand where I'm coming?
Yeah. Yes. If it was just all rainbows and butterflies, who knows where you would be? Who knows what path you would have chosen?
Yeah. Who knows?
You really get to know yourself in those moments of defeat.
Oh.
There's the self-reflection that occurs in the dark times. Mm-hmm. So enlightening.
Yeah, and I look back at those times and I'm thinking, you know what? You're meant to have those struggles. Yes. You're meant to have struggles to have strength.
Yes.
Bottom line.
Yes.
And
that should be on a T-shirt.
I'll have to play this later.
Yes.
But think about it. If you don't have struggles, then you don't have that. It's like going to a gym. It's hard to lift those weights.
The tenacity.
Yeah.
You would think that I would have chosen a profession that made me more money, but that's not what drives me. Even though I grew up very, very poor, money should be, more of a consideration for me, but it never was. I just thought I need to make enough money to provide for myself and my child, and after that, I want to do good.
Yeah.
I want to do good.
I always just tell people, just be nice.
Yes.
Just be nice.
Yes.
Just be a good person.
Yes.
I could be in a car crash on the 215 after we leave here. Who knows?
Ever know.
And it's just,
don't ever know.
I just always tell people just to, I always just tell people, just be nice, be grateful and thankful for what you have every minute.
Absolutely.
And when I was talking at this eulogy at the funeral a few weeks ago, I told everyone, I said, because it was such a sudden death, and I said, look to your left and look to your right. I said, if you knew that was going to be the last time you saw that person, would you have treated them differently?
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yes.
It's just so true. And like we were talking about earlier, the struggles through COVID and all this stuff, you realize that some things just don't really matter at all.
They really don't. And you realize what does.
I had a friend, she was always on a plane going somewhere. Yeah, I'm running off here and running off there, and then COVID came, and she's like, I kind of like being home.
Yes.
Because I can't fly right now. And I'm like,
yes.
Yes. Zoom and this and that. And I think, COVID obviously was completely devastating to a lot of people on so many different levels, but it just taught so many people that, just slow down.
Slow down.
And just smell the roses, literally. That phrase. And I've really, this past year, have really taken the time to do more things for like self-care and meditation and this and that, and it's just been incredibly enlightening. And
as women, I don't mean this as a slight to men, but as women, I think at least my girlfriends, now hearing you say it, we have a difficult time not being superwoman, you know, and we tend to
I've got my cape in my closet. Yeah.
I might need to borrow that. You know, but self-care is at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, I'm always in a rush in the morning, and I'm like, why can't I just take my time?
Yes.
You know, I'm actually, you know, I've got the shower running, I'm drinking my coffee while I'm in the shower.
Yes.
I'm like,
Yes.
I'm like, wait a minute, slow down. I'm like,
yes. Yes.
You know, and I'm
like,
like,
at the same time, we're saying, okay, yes,
flying down
stop and smell the roses. But at the same time, I mean,
you see women doing their eyelashes going down the 215, and I'm like, why? I'm like, is it my lack of time management, or do I just need to sleep more than 5 hours a night?
You and I always pose the same questions to ourselves.
Seriously, I'm like, I have got
had
no
that
more
talk
than
with myself last night.
I have got no more than 5 hours of sleep, I think, for the past year. I got this permanent toothpicks in my eyes.
Yes. Yes. I do that too. I think to myself, why am I the way that I am? And what do I need to change? But I found that sometimes I just thrive on the chaos.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I'm at my
mother would be the first person to tell you she thrives on all this. She would, like at the glass gala, we were all running around like crazy because they didn't set up before on time, and we're like, yeah. She's like, oh, she thrives on this. She'll be fine.
Yes.
She's have a glass.
You've always pulled it off.
Oh yeah.
And
magic hats everywhere.
Yes. And I think that's what it is. Some people thrive on it. You are like that.
And you are.
And I am like that too.
And you know, and
when I have too much time, I'm like, okay. And I tend to mess up.
If someone tells me, Susan, you need to get this done, like say it's a Monday, you need to get this done by like Tuesday morning.
Yes.
And it's something that would typically take a person a month to do.
Yes. Oh,
I'm like, okay.
Okay.
But if someone says, all right, we just need this, like, where are we in June? Someone says, oh, you know, we need this done by like July. I'm like,
yes.
I'll wait until the day before and just get it done.
That's exactly how I am too. And maybe it is our time management skills. I mean, you know,
it's crazy.
But it's just whatever is the most pressing. You know, it's just prioritizing.
Yeah, and then when I do have that morning to sleep in, it's just like that's it.
Oh my gosh.
It's just like there's no moving the lead. It's like a dead weight.
That's
not going anywhere.
Every few weeks.
Yeah.
Just lay in bed.
And there's
Sometimes
nothing.
I'll organize because that makes me feel good. I need my environment not to be chaotic. I can be chaotic.
Yeah.
But just my environment has to kind of chill out.
All the ping pong balls going around in your head.
Yes. Looking at an organized pantry, I'm like, yes. Even though I got 3 hours of sleep because I stayed up to do it, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm not the only one.
Because it fulfills this need, you know.
That's so funny.
To just control the chaos.
And there's such a sense, we were talking about this on a previous podcast, where you know where you have someone of your stature, that there's this level of expectation of perfection.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that is a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure, and honestly, it is so unfair. But I found that people don't necessarily have that expectation of us. We have it of ourselves.
Right.
And I know you know that because of the way that you are, you know. I mean, I always perceive it that way. Like, okay, my mom wants, you know, me to, let's say, win this election because I've never failed in anything in my life, let's say, in her eyes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I can't disappoint this person or that person or this person or this person. You know, that is just such an unfair expectation. And then I talk to them and they're like, we don't care what you are. We don't care if you know, become a personal injury attorney. We don't care if you decide to stop practicing law and you become a florist or a dog walker. You know, we love you.
Those are your true friends and family. Yeah.
That you are, you know. But to me, no, I want to be the most perfect mom. I want to be the most perfect friend. I want to be the most perfect partner. I want to be the perfect daughter, the perfect DA, there's no way to achieve that.
But we try.
And maybe that's why we succeed.
Yeah.
Because we try.
I always thought, you know, everyone has a different bar. Mm-hmm. A different bar, right? You have let's just say you have someone who just loves being a stay-home mom.
Yes.
I love that. I
Yes.
love it, and that's their bar.
Yes.
And then we have, and I love that, because that's what families need and children need. And then you have, the woman who's trying to raise, 3 kids, work, 80 hours a week. Somehow
Yes.
they get it done.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but that's her bar.
That's her bar.
That's
what she needs.
It took me a long time to really figure out that people have different bars, and once I got that, it just really helped me understand, people
Yes.
differently.
Yes. I envy those people because it's whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever makes you happy and whatever else that you're contributing to other people's happiness.
Yes.
Done. Bottom
That's
line.
it. That's all that matters in the end,
Yep.
right?
I think so.
Were you happy? Did you make other people happy? Were you a good person? Ultimately, that's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
Yes.
So when actually is the date of your election?
It's June 14th. It's Tuesday.
Ooh.
So
Her house is completely organized. The spoons are polished. the salt and pepper shakers have been shined.
Those are all on my to-do list this weekend. I'm telling you, because by Monday, it's got to be that way.
Yeah. She's organized shoes she didn't have. She didn't know she had.
Yes. No, early voting ends tomorrow. And
How do you feel about that?
I'm on pins and needles, but at the same time,
And you said that they added your department, right?
yes, it's a
And
new department.
explain to our audience here, because what I did was I asked her what department, and she said 16, and she said it was just added. So
Yes, so crime has skyrocketed in our city. Homicides are up 50%. And that's not from a lack of trying by law enforcement. It's just the volume has increased exponentially. So they created a new department. There's 15 right now. They created Justice Court Department 16 to handle the influx of new criminal cases. And I love being a DA, but it was time to, how sometimes you just have to, you argue, I'm an advocate, and I'm an advocate to my core. But sometimes you have to just become the decision maker.
right.
In order for you to really change things.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can talk until I'm blue in the face, I can argue whatever position, but it was such a hard decision because you really are putting yourself out there. You were talking about how big my signs are. It's such an uncomfortable feeling.
I'm like, I'm gonna see her in about an hour.
Exactly. I'm just like, you're really putting yourself out there. It takes so much to do it. And so I really have stepped out of my comfort zone here. I thought I was going to retire a DA and never get into politics because I hate politics. I hate everything about it.
And here we are.
Yet here I am.
Come vote on Tuesday for someone who
judge.
doesn't.
I'm running for judge,
Come vote for someone who hates politics.
I hate it.
Oh my God.
I can't stand it. Asking for money, forget about it.
Oh, I know. You're telling me.
I know you do that too on the regular. And
I know.
It's like, how do I walk in? Hello, my name is Agnes. Can I have some money? Never would that be appropriate anywhere else.
Just go to the donate button. Click it a few times.
Yes.
Yeah, just keep clicking it.
I'm just like,
The routing number will never change.
Yeah.
Just keep clicking it.
I'm like, I don't. But you have to try new things, I guess, to grow.
It is.
It's uncomfortable.
What I said, when I was, I literally did not even remember what I said because when they gave me the award, the adrenaline was running so high. I was so nervous. I'm so emotional. I'm like thinking of my mom and dad,
I know we talked
you know
about
what I mean?
this at Easter.
And I'm like, what did I even say? I didn't even remember, you know what I mean? And
Your mom is so proud of you. I'm just telling you. I have never met her, but I know that she has got to be so proud.
She has been through it. I mean, so was my dad passed away suddenly some years ago, and he was just always, the rock, la rock, and, but my mom they never pushed or pulled me, they're like, just do what you want to do, be you, you don't have to be this, you don't have to be that, they were just always like, be a good person, be a nice person. And that'll get you to what you want to do and what you should be doing. Those little bits of advice really take you far if you pay attention to them,
yes.
if you apply them.
Yes. Yes. That's what I'm going to do with my child. That's the expectation.
Yeah. Just to be a good person.
Be a good person. Be happy.
So Wednesday morning comes along.
Oh.
Your house is organized. You got a whole new flower bed. You've got the cars waxed 6 times by Monday night. How is it gonna go? I mean, I think, you know what? If I think you win, it's meant to be.
Yes.
If you don't, the universe is just gonna shift you into where you need to be.
Absolutely.
And that's how I just feel about anything.
People have asked me, just how stressed I am, and honestly, besides just the anxiousness of a big decision coming up, and it's not even my decision. It just feels so out of my control at this point that it doesn't pay to stress about it.
Right.
It really doesn't. Like I'm pretty calm, which is scary to me.
I was just going to say that because
that is scary
people
to me.
People say, well, Susan's quiet, just go, just leave.
Yes, and everyone has done this little check up on me, like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, no, I'm good. They're like, okay, but are you really good? Like, are you like drinking wine
kind of
every
scary?
Night? Or like, are you locking yourself in a dark room? And I said,
you're in that organized closet.
No, because at some point, you put everything out.
And that's it.
Do everything that you can, and it is literally. It's like when I'm waiting for a verdict. Everything's out of your hands.
Yeah.
Everything that could be done, that needed to be done, that should have been done, either was done or not. But you can't do anything about it now.
Right.
And I really, because I love being a prosecutor, I always think to myself, okay, what's the worst case scenario? This is how I manage expectations. What is the worst case scenario? I stay at a job that I love.
There you go.
I stay at a job that I love.
Yeah, and then that's what would be meant to be.
And so I'm like, okay, and
you gave it a shot. You know what? As long as as long as you know in your heart, in your mind, in your soul that you're giving 100% of something.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
If the 100% worked, it did. If it didn't, then it wasn't meant to be. Next.
And
move
really,
on.
I'm just proud of myself. I'll just say this. The one thing that I'm proud of myself about is I have just remained true to myself during this campaign, because there are so many opportunities, I think, when you're reaching for a goal, to want to cater yourself to all of these different people to get them to support you.
Right.
And I always told myself, because I hate politics so much, that if I ran, and when I run, which I did this time, I wouldn't do that. Because I ultimately, even though voters, I don't think they really know the candidates very much, and there needs to be a change in that.
We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. I mean, it's just,
all of these signs. Who are all these people?
Yeah. I mean, do you like the sign? Do you like the layout? Do you like my picture? Right. It's a popularity contest. It's basically the psychology of remembering a name and a sign, But I mean, if I'm elected, or I'm going to put it out there, we'll claim it. When I am elected, I'll know deep in my heart I was elected for me, based on my values, my beliefs, my me.
Yeah, who you are as a person.
Who I am, and I can rest easy in that. And so if I lose, which I don't plan to, if I lose, I'll know, okay, well, whatever it is, the public, the community, that's not what they wanted.
Right.
But I didn't change myself. I didn't,
your morals
put anything
and
out there.
Your morals and your values have remained, and that's it. Well, I am just, I saw you coming down the sidewalk. I'm like, Agnes, she's here.
I know. Like I said, we just like clicked, And so I think your question was answered. The question that we posed to each other, it was answered when you won your award.
Oh, gosh.
My question might be answered, I don't know, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning,
And how do you celebrate that?
Oh, man, probably sleep.
Right? Sleep in a Grimaldi's pizza?
Sleep, yes, sleep, and just stay in my pajamas.
Right?
And not have to be...
Take a bath.
Anywhere.
Yeah, just take a nice bath. Yes. Some lounge music and some wine, and there it is. That's my escape.
Me too. That is the celebration. I know everybody thinks, we're going to have a community party, or we're going to line the streets. No.
Yeah.
No, everyone else can do that. I'll be asleep.
Yeah.
Making up for the 5 hours, 3 hours of sleep, the last few months.
Well, we are so proud of you, and I'm proud to call you my friend.
You're my friend.
Outside of all of the, the campaign and everything, and we always run into each other.
Yes.
At different events.
We will continue to.
Yeah. And so
I told you when I met you we were going to be friends.
I know. We actually said that sometimes we say to each other, "Who the heck do you think you are?"
Yes.
Who the heck?
Yes.
Well, we didn't say heck,
and
but
she's like, "What do you think about seeing your signs?" And I go, honestly, I look at myself and I go, "What makes you think you can do this?
Yeah.
That you should do this?"
And that self-doubt.
Who do you think you are?
Like who do you think you are?
That you're going to run for judge. It is. It's that doubt.
It's that doubt, but it's just that doubt from those times when you were on the ground.
Yes.
It's like, who do I think I am, or who do you think you are, or anyone, and you set these expectations for yourself.
Yes.
But if you didn't set these and saying, well, I talk about myself, if I didn't set these expectations for myself that I chose to do, then I wouldn't have those things to thrive on.
Yes.
This has all been my choice.
Yes.
To have these 18-hour days.
Me too.
Since I walked across the stage in high school. That was my choice. I just have always felt like I'm just being pushed, and if I didn't have that sense of urgency forever, it seems, then we wouldn't even be sitting here right now, and you either.
Completely understand that. I do. You're speaking my language.
Well, we love you, and we're so proud of you. And how do we get a hold of you? Because this will be have a lot of both viewers and listeners. And how, if anyone wants to get a hold of you. I know you said you had a few emails.
Yes, I've had a few emails from 3 actually.
Isn't it shocking?
It is.
She's
shocking.
only had 3 emails in this whole campaign, because I always just be like, who are all these people?
Yes.
And all these signs? Because people don't have time to sit there and jot everyone's name down at a stop sign or a stoplight and Google and look it up. And that's a problem, is that people are just voting.
Yes.
For random.
Yes.
And if I don't know the person, like for example Judge Voy.
Yes.
When he was running, I was like, make sure I press that button really hard. And a lot of people just don't even know who they're voting for.
No,
and that is a huge problem. She got 3 emails in this whole campaign.
Yes, and only one of them was really relevant to the race. One email was, how do I feel about the vaccine and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, what does that have to do with being a judge?
Right. That's what I meant. Like, what's that got to do with?
Yes, and so, but the most telling one was just yesterday afternoon, and it was a citizen. He signed it, citizen of Clark County, and he just said, "Hey, I'm researching. Good afternoon, Agnes. I'm researching judicial candidates. I'm at Department 16 now. Why are you the best candidate? Why should I vote for you?" And at first I thought, you know what, I'm just going to direct him to my website, that I worked so hard to put all this stuff together that I think voters should know about me. It's just agnesforjudge.com. But I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to summarize just in paragraph form about as succinctly as I can why I think that. So I did that, and then I put my link at the bottom. And so I hope he takes the time to look at my website, because I think that's me telling you why I think I should be why I'm qualified, why I'm the best candidate. And so, but I know people don't do that.
They don't.
It's sad.
It's shocking. So technically you had one email.
I had one email. Because the other one was, do I believe in absolute rights? And then they defined absolute rights, and I was like, I'm not even really sure what we're talking about. So I don't think I can respond.
So when you win, you should do something that says, "Dear citizen."
Yes.
And they're going to be watching you, right?
Yes.
And do something to get the attention of the citizen.
Yes.
And, thank him for his one email.
Yes. I mean, I have his email address now.
Right.
I'm going to have to send him a personal thank you.
Yeah.
Because, he's doing what everyone should do.
This should be doing. And I know that's such a huge problem that, you might meet someone at a party, or meet them or hear about them. Oh yeah, I remember I met them. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And not know anything about like their entire background.
Yes.
Yeah, I met so and so.
And judges are so important, as you have, with your interactions with Judge Boy. They're so important. I mean, everybody talks about the governor's race and the presidential race, but when you're talking about your community, the people that impact you are your legislatures.
Right.
Your legislative representatives and the judges. Because whether you're a defendant, a victim, a witness, a community member, community safety is always a huge concern. These are the people who are going to be making decisions that are going to directly impact you immediately.
Yeah, it's so important to know who you are voting for, and in any election.
Any election.
And you got one email.
Judge.com.
You got one email. I'll send you one right now. No. So I can be number 2.
How much sleep are you getting?
Yeah.
How organized is the house? Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Yeah, who are we? Who are you?
Yeah.
So let everyone know how they can get a hold of you in case you want to get a third email, because you're going to get the second one from me.
Yes. Email is the best. It's just agnesforjudge@gmail.com. If you just want to learn about me, if you don't even know a question to ask yet, look at my website. It's agnesforjudge.com. My contact information is on there as well. So is my phone number. Just call, text, email, ask me, and ask me whatever it is that's on your mind. And if it's related to the position I'm seeking, of course I'll respond.
Thank you so much. And we can be reached if you would like to call us at 888-JJI-0010, or you can give us an email shoot us an email, maybe more than one, at www.impactjgi.com or juvenilejusticeimpact@gmail.com. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
She's such a lovely person. We wish you the best.
Thank you.
And thank you to Ulysses Pisa, who is the mastermind behind everything here. And he just does such a wonderful job on so many different levels for not only helping with the podcast, but he has just turned so many knobs, I should say, opened so many doors really with his expertise and everything that he's doing, and having an even greater impact on our youth and our families and our community. So thank you, Ulysses, for everything that you do. And he wears so many different hats, and he's just such a true pro, and we all really appreciate you and everything that you're doing. So thank you so much. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening, everyone.